Okay, so previously we've shown the ProDesk 400 G3. This is the ProDesk 600 G3, which has a lot more in common with the EliteDesk 800 than it does with the 400. And wanted to go over some of the features. I also got this unit because I wanted to see if I could reuse the parts from my failed attempt at trying to get an Elite slice to work. It came with an i5 6500T, 16 gig of memory, and I thought, well, maybe if I could put that into another unit, I'd at least get back on my investment in it. So here we've got the ProDesk. Looks very similar to the 800. We do have the USB-C. We do have two of just the normal USB ports, headphone and headset power around the back. It's got the traditional G3 latch. It's got the this one happens to have the VGA for the Flex IO, 4 of the USB. This network port is a Intel, much like the EliteDesk 800. Power uses the same power, the 65 watt, 19.5 volt, and we've got 2 display ports, and of course the antenna. Bottom, very similar. Of course, it's got the name here, serial number, and as we've learned before, we can kind of deduce based on these codes here what it originally had. I also looked up the serial number on Part Server just to confirm, but it did have an i5 6500T when it shipped, a 256 gig M.2 drive, 2280, 16 gig of memory, 3-year warranty. Let's open it up. Underside, very similar. It's got the repeats the serial number, part numbers, etc. Looks very much like an EliteDesk. CPU, fan, caddy, connector there. You can see, of course, the Flex IO. Let's take out the caddy. We're going to be adding in the i5. I need to pull it out of the EliteDesk. Excuse me, not the EliteDesk, the Elite Slice that's not working. And maybe at a future time I might try it again. Okay, undo this. It's got the same where it's got 3 for the caddy. These are pretty tight in here. I don't know. I'm assuming it had to be taken out at some point, since of course they had to get to the 2280. All right. As with most of the G3s, so here's where you would put in your 2280. You can also put in a 2230. Here's your Wi-Fi card and antennas. Let's take out the fan. Okay. This is where your memory would go. You can put a total of 32 gig of DDR4 2400 megahertz. Let's take this off and put in our CPU. Now this one's also pretty tight. We're going to have to take off this little shroud here, which is another ProDesk that has it, and none of my EliteDesks seem to have it for some reason. Okay, we'll pop that out of there. Even though I've looked at other listings, for some reason the ones I have don't have it. Wow, these are really tight. Well, this part at least is clean. Well, it's not too bad. Looks okay. Let's open up. Oh, nice socket. Okay, I'm going to do the transfer. Pulling it out of this guy here. My Elite slice that is no go. So let's pull out the CPU. I already cleaned it. That's why it looks the way it does. Okay, we've got our little arrow. And we want to line that up with this little arrow that's over here. Lock it down. And we'll put the, oh, actually, I was going to say, let's put the heatsink on. Let's put a little bit of thermal on this first. Okay, let's go ahead and one, two, three. Let's move this a little up here. All right, we've got the heatsink back on. Let's put our memory in. This is technically not the same memory that was in the Elite Slice, but it's close to it. I think that memory probably got reused somewhere else. All right, get that out of the way. Looks good. Let's see. And let's put our caddy back on because I'm going to use a SATA drive for the boot. And I'm curious to see when we go into the BIOS. Actually, maybe we'll do that first. We'll BIOS and then we'll bring up the, then we'll add the drive. Might make it a little easier trying to get in. But I want to see if this is set up the same way as far as updating the BIOS. You know, does it do it online or do you have to do it, you know, separately, like through Windows or something? That's one nice thing I like with the EliteDesk, we'll be able to define it that way. Especially if you don't intend on doing it, you know, using Windows. Okay, looks good. Let's put the top back on. And let's give it some power and start it up. Okay, here we are inside the BIOS. Not real wild about the fan noise on this one. I'm going to have to see if there's something that maybe let it run a little bit and see if it calms itself down. But let's go into the, let's see. Well, let's just do system info first just to make sure everything looks correct. Good, 16 gig, good. All right, everything looks good there. And let's go to BIOS setup. Let's do, oh, good. Update system BIOS. Let's see. Wow. So this unit was purchased in 2018. And it says most recent update check never. So who knows? Maybe this must be, let's see how old this BIOS is that's in here. Oh, wow. Update. Current one is 2.37. New one is 250. I think we'll go to 2.50. All right, we'll let it do its thing here. Okay, looks like we got the BIOS updated. Let's see. Yep, 2.50. Let's see. The other things I like to do is turn on the virtualization. So let's go to usually advanced system options, and we'll turn on the options including this. Okay. And we'll go main, and we'll save changes and exit. So I put in the SATA drive I use everywhere, but it wouldn't boot into Windows, and I believe it's because of this, where the legacy support enable secure boot disable. So we're going to change it to legacy support disable secure boot enable, and let's also go to boot options and make sure that this is set up. Okay. Hopefully that's all it needs. So we'll save and we'll see if that helps. Yep, that's what it needed. It's trying to boot into Windows now. It'll probably do some stuff where it needs to install some devices and other kinds of stuff, but at least this is better than before, where it just said there was no boot device. And here we're in Windows 11. Let's check out a couple things. Let's go Task Manager, Performance, CPU, 6500T, 4-core, virtualization, memory 16 gig. Looks pretty good. Ethernet, Intel, SSD. What I'm going to do is, I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but I want to add it to my collection for of Geekbench. I'm going to run that and see what kind of numbers we get on there. So interesting. If you see here, this is the ProDesk 600 G3, and you can see the numbers 1029, 2970, was it 2971. If you look at a G3 35 watt EliteDesk, the numbers are actually just a smidge higher. Interesting. And these numbers are almost in line with an i3 8100T, the G4 retail system. So it kind of gives you an idea there. Let's look at, just curiosity, what we're looking at in terms of thermals. About what you'd expect as far as, CPU and so forth. I'm going to try running it at heavy load and see what we get in terms of temperature afterward. I'm also going to run some tests for power. So here we are running the heavy load. We're coming up about the 5-minute mark. Not too bad on the temps, about 65 for the high. Looks like average around maybe 62-ish, that kind of thing. It started in the high 40s. Power consumption, though, it's been pulling down about 46 watts. And that started out when it was kind of idle around 6 or 7 watts. So I'll be curious to see when I stop this, what happens to the power. That's pretty amazing. Once I killed the heavy load, the power consumption went down to like 7 or 8. And you can see the CPU is cooling down pretty quickly. So the question is, would I recommend this ProDesk 600 G3 Mini? Without a doubt, definitely. It's a nice unit. If I was looking on the inside, I would not know that I was looking at a ProDesk versus an EliteDesk. And especially if you can get it at a cheaper price, then you have all the same advantages in terms of the USB-C, you've got the Flex I/O, you've got the little slot there for the 2230. Yeah, and of course it uses the same CPUs. You can go up to an i7 7700T. Obviously the EliteDesk, if you want to go even faster, have more juice, then of course you can get the ones that use the 90 watt, also known as basically their 65 watt units. And if you needed that, then yes, you'd go to the EliteDesk. You'd also get things like vPro, that sort of thing. But I think for your average person out there, the EliteDesk 600 does exactly what
the type of stuff you would do with the EliteDesk 800.